What's up, everybody? It's the Digital World Podcast. This article I'm going to read to you is, should be, and is an eye opener. And I'm expecting this summer to be massive droughts. I do expect another hot summer, equivalent or worse than last year, 2021. You saw what happened with Utah and how their lakes were drying up. The state of Utah, that is. And California was having issues. Folks, I was watching uh, pinball preparedness. He was going over an almanac. And, almanacs aren't always, on point or accurate, but they're pretty close. And the almanac was predicting very severe droughts this coming summer. And following those droughts in the summer, some heavy rainfall. So, you know what happens. I mean, California is a perfect example. They had a couple years ago, probably 2017 or so, they had some severe droughts. Then they had this crazy rainfall that came. It created mudslides, landslides, and it destroyed some homes. If we have something similar to that, oh boy. Not only because it's going to ruin some of the crops in the Midwest, all the grain, right? But we're currently experiencing a shortage in food, fertilizer as well. You see that natural gas is at really high prices, and farmers are looking to switch to soy instead of corn, just because it takes up less fertilizer. So here is the article. It says, Farming Insider warns that the coming food shortages are going to be far worse than we're being told. The information that I'm about to share with you is extremely alarming, but I've always endeavored to never sugarcoat things for my readers. Right now, there are shortages of certain items in grocery stores across the United States, and food supplies have gotten very tight all over the globe. I have repeatedly warned that this is just the beginning, but I didn't realize how dire things have already gotten until I received an email from a farming insider that I have corresponded with over the years. I asked him if I could publicly share some of the information that he was sharing with me. He said it would be okay as long as I kept his name out of it. According to this farming insider, dramatically increased costs for fertilizer will make it impossible for many farmers to profitably plant corn this year. And you see the emphasis in impossible. The following is an excerpt from the email he sent me. Things for 2022 are interesting and scary. Input costs for things like fertilizer, liquid nitrogen, and seeds are like triple and quadruple the old prices. It will not be profitable to plant this year. Let me repeat, the economics will not work out. Our plan is to drop about 700 acres of corn off and convert to soybeans. They use less fertilizer, and we also have chicken manure from that operation. Well, guess what? We are not the only ones with those plans. Already there's a shortage of soybean seeds, so we will see how that will work out. The way I see it, there will be a major grain shortage later in the year, especially with corn. I mean, we are small with that. What about these people in the Midwest who have like 10,000 acres of corn? This will not be good. Now, if you have been a subscriber to this channel for a long time, I have been talking about an article that came out by Mariana Mazzucato. And in that article she was predicting that for the year 2022, during the summertime, there's going to be massive droughts taking place in the Midwest, which accounts for about a sixth of the grain output that's exported to the world and to the U.S. 1/6. That's a big percentage. That's about like 18 or so percent. Okay. Now we'll see if that comes true, but all signs and everything's indicating towards that being the case. I've shown you, or I've told you, about the almanac that's predicting a drought this summer. I've shown that article, or talked about it at least, that 2022 summertime was going to be very bad. Now, we see how high these gas prices are. We see what that's doing to the cost of fertilizer. Now we're hearing from farmers talking about them switching over to soy because corn is just not profitable. The economics aren't going to work out. What happens with when something like this, a corn shortage, takes place, and corn is literally in everything? What's gonna happen to these already existing shortages that we have, folks? This is very dire, and I keep sounding the alarm. I keep sounding the alarm, but people are disregarding it, and I know you guys are on top of it because you're listening to this right now. But the people who aren't, they should be fastly looking ahead to this kind of scenario. So he expanded on his comments in a subsequent email. He said, as for the farming, I see it getting bad. Things like fertilizer and liquid nitrogen have tripled and quadrupled in price. Yes, commodity prices are up. But that certainly won't cover the new increased input costs. We are in North Carolina, so while certainly not like the Midwest, we still grow grain. The Midwest, of course, will have these same higher input costs as well. And in addition, let me just add, China is hoarding their grain, and they account for about 50% of the grain output in the world. So, folks, I'm telling you right now, this summer with these droughts, it's going to put even more pressure on these shortages, and people are going to see even more barren shelves than there already exist. Corn, for example, typically takes about 600 pounds of fertilizer per acre plus 50 gallons of liquid nitrogen. Times that by many acres, and that's a lot of money. Soybeans take much less. The plan for us and most others around here is to drastically cut corn acres and switch to soybeans. The problem is there is apparently a soybean seed shortage because others have this plan as well. We were lucky enough to pre-buy enough to do it. However, most people, especially younger farmers or farmers where that is all they do, probably don't have the money to front like that. He sees the way he sees it, a corn shortage is inevitable and will come. I guess there could possibly be a glut of soybeans, but remember that could depend on the seed being available. There are other alternatives, maybe milo, oats, or barley. Of course, the corn market is much larger. Think animal feed and ethanol. I mean, for animals, soybeans are used too, but it's a mix. What happens to the animal producers who depend on reasonably priced corn? He says, I just don't see how it can end well. I mean, even if we end up with plenty of soybeans, even a glut, then you have a busted market for that. There just isn't much history to base any of this on. I just see it hurting both grain farmers, animal farmers, and also translating to more shortages and price increases for consumers who buy the end products. Folks. And here he makes the point that I've been saying. Corn is foundational to our food supply. It's in everything. And fertilizer prices are going through the roof. Also, the thing about coffee. Coffee's been going up in price. Like if you don't think this is serious, I mean, you gotta just wait. Don't do anything. Just wait till the crisis comes, and you'll see how serious it is. But folks, this is a nightmare scenario. One that should not be taken lightly. And I think we need to start paying attention to what's coming in the very, very near future. We have about 4 months or so till summer starts. So be on the lookout because I expect big time shortages, worse than we have now, to come our way. Without further ado, if you like this content, like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts. This is the Digital World Podcast, and I'll see you in the next episode.